yourself a fabulous weekend. What a freaking show we have today. There were some things going on. There were some things going on this weekend in both the college, the NFL, and, of course, yes, indeed, the Major League Baseball playoffs. Sean Salisbury coming up in just 60 seconds. Well, if you don't like that, pertain to a lot of things this weekend. As we mentioned, every Monday, every Friday, I talk with Sean Salisbury. He is from Houston, Texas, and we bring him in now. And Sean, I hope you're doing well, but I want to remind you of something you said a week ago today. You said, I may just get on a plane and fly to Knoxville and go to the Tennessee-Alabama game. You know what? You should have, Sean. That was an epic. That was one of the all-time great college football games.
I was right about the result that Tennessee was going to give them all they could handle, even more so than I thought. But Grant, it was Well, I watched it from my patio, which was nice too, but not like being there. The energy in that building through the TV, and I know you saw it too, was through the roof. Tennessee proved that they belong with the big dogs. And we got a game coming up in a couple weeks, Grant, where they got Kentucky and Will Levis is back, and then they got to go to Athens, Georgia. And if they win in Athens, that's probably, which will be the toughest task they've faced in a long time, from home and the road from Alabama and then heading into Georgia. It was a phenomenal game. Hendon Hooker played out of his mind.
Yep.
You don't usually outduel Bryce Young, and they did. And Tennessee's real, and they play so fast. You better be well conditioned. What a fun watch that was this weekend.
When I watch Alabama, and this goes back to last year, I expect more defensively from them, and they got carved up on Saturday. You and I talked about this in the Texas game a couple of weeks ago, and especially their back end. I just do not like what I see when I watch Alabama's defense. I just don't think they're that good. I mean, when I mean that good, Sean, I'm talking national championship quality. They're not national championship quality.
No, and you know what, Grant? There's a couple things, and I want you to chime in on this with me, because I've been thinking about that a lot. Now, listen, sometimes we know we're in a quarterback league and you outscore people, you're going to win a national title. We know that. But two things I know about Nick Saban and talking to people who have worked for him on his staff and follow him all these years. His baby is the defensive backfield. He cut his teeth being a defensive backfield coach. And I know that guys have been on the staff. He is hard. If you're a defensive backfield, you're the DB coach, and you're not playing, I'm telling you, he'll get the wrath of Nick each and every week, right? And I would imagine this week in practice was brutal. Is going to be brutal for Alabama throughout the week. But I can tell you this, Grant, another thing that I wonder, and you tell me what you think about this in all sports. This is a team that spent their whole lives until the last couple of years, right, with these last few quarterbacks, with Mac Jones and Tua, and Mac Jones hurts a little bit, and then now with this young fella, Bryce Young. That they used to be run, play defense, quarterback just don't get us beat, right? Play smart, throw it 16 to 18 times, let's go. And I'm not saying, Nick's done a great job of adjusting to, okay, this is how you got to keep up with the college football. Then I'll get a coordinator like Sarkisian, like Bill O'Brien, these guys, and Lane Kiffin, who just leg it out and keep up with the speed. But, Grant, don't you believe you take on the personality of what you're offering? You know how we always talk about in the NFL, well, he's a defensive head coach, so they keep it close, win 17-13. Are we starting to see that maybe because Alabama is such a spread them out, go score team, that the defense has taken on the personality and, dare I say, finesse? You get my point? Now, they'll always have one. I'm sitting here wondering, thinking, is Alabama gotten to the point, like on the practice field? Grant, I know this for a fact. Even when I played at Southern Cal, we knew on the practice field we were going to be so physical. We expected that on Saturday. But when you're a team that's playing against spread out and your offense and defense during scout team, you're in a 2-point stance all the time, the physicality changes in the mindset. It just does. Now, I may be off base with this one, but it seems to – when's the last time Alabama with that skill set was going to roll in and let you week after week score 35 and 40 on them defensively?
Yep.
So I'm wondering if it's the personality of the offense reflects the way they play defense because they practice against spread out stuff. But Tennessee executed to perfection. Josh Heupel's got them going, man. It was amazing.
This may not be a good analogy. I did arena football for 15 years, and this style of football almost looks like arena football. And the key to arena football was getting a stop. If you got 1 or 2 stops in a game and you had a good offense, you were going to win the game. Now, it might be, 50-48 or 50-45. But to me, when I was watching the Alabama-Tennessee game, it kind of reminded me of the way arena football is playing. Like, hey, if you get a stop, you got a really good chance of winning this game,
Don't you think this drives Nick Saban crazy, winning football? I know that he loves winning. And he's got a great quarterback. But don't you think deep down, Grant, like if you're an NBA defensive coach, you hate 130 to 128, right? If
Absolutely.
if you're an old school baseball manager and you like pitching duels, you want 3-1 games.
Yeah.
Nick Saban wants 17 to 13 wins where they put you away defensively, and you have to fight and scratch for for a touchdown. I think deep down, even though winning, I think deep down he sits at home thinking, this isn't the way I was raised to coach football. But man, you're going to pop on you, you're going to get beat. And Tennessee was ready for this, and their fans were phenomenal that weekend.
All right, from the chat line, you can chime in. Jeff says, during the Tennessee-Alabama game, the TV announcer, which be Brad Nessler, said, if you don't like that, you don't like college football. Stole your line, Grant. I didn't hear Brad say that. I think they do a great job, Brad and Gary Danielson, so I have nothing to comment on that. I will say that I think that if you're the prime announcer for the game of the week in the SEC, there aren't too many jobs in the world better than that, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, rarely are you going to get bad football, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Gary and Brad, and Gary's been doing it for a long time, and he made a point in that game. And just a little side note to keep an eye on. You're exactly right. To me, it's like you call in college game day. I mean, you're on college game day, with Herb Street and Corso. That afternoon, if you want the best football in the world, it's the next closest thing to the NFL. It's a 2:30 game on a Saturday when those teams are playing, and Brad and Gary are calling it. Is it? I don't know how much you've got to see Gibbs, the running back for Alabama, played.
Oh, I like it a lot.
Gary, oh my gosh, Gary Danielson made a point, and he may not be far off. Gary's been doing it 20 plus years now, hasn't he? I think he said 20 years or whatever.
Yep.
He says I've never seen a better back basically than Gibbs. Now, you think about all the great players that Gary's covered.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a guy who can bounce, but Grant, he turns the corner and puts his foot in the ground about as quick as anybody. There's a whole bunch of guys on Sunday in the NFL saying, ooh, the things I can do with that cat when he gets to me on Sunday. He was a fun watch. What a great offensive performance.
All right, before we get to Sunday and talk about the NFL, all right, I got to talk about USC. I mean, the way that game ended, the 2-point conversion. I mean, you're watching that game, a former alum. I mean, what was going through your mind? Seriously.
I knew, Grant, my affinity for Kyle Whittingham.
Yep.
He is the longest tenured coach at the same university he started head coaching at. He's the second longest in college football. The respect, and I knew it was going to be tough. Now, I knew they'd go up and down the field, but I thought there'd be more stops because it's so physical. But hell, Rising matched SC's offense and Utah's offense play for play. They went back and forth and back and forth. I was so bummed because I said here on this show too, Grant, that if SC can get through Utah, that I thought they'd run the table, and that's even including UCLA's football team. But now it's going to be tough to get in. You're going to have some help in front of you to get a chance at the playoff. But I was impressed with Rising's toughness, the quarterback of Utah. I loved Kyle Whittingham's guts. Now, that's when you go for 2. Even at home, you were exhausted. You wanted to end it right there. They couldn't stop you. Go for 2 and put the pressure on him. I thought the referees were horse shit in the game. That's no excuse. Utah beat Southern Cal. And when you give up, 40 points, you're not going to win many games. You're just not. So no excuse. I thought the officiating was horrible, but that doesn't take away and diminish that Utah played better than we did at the right time, and they hung in there. There's a toughness about them, and that's going to be very costly for USC in the big picture. And Kyle Whittingham's team always does stuff like that. Home, tough place to play. I don't want to say brokenhearted. It's a football game, but as far as football goes, it bummed me out because I haven't seen an SC team like this in a while.
All right, let's get to Sunday. You and I both thought that the Bills-Chiefs game would be in the 20s, 24-20 the final. Good job by Tony Romo, who called that out in the first half, by the way. And I'm not a fan of Tony Romo doing the games, but got to give him credit on that one. I love the drive right before the end of the half, backed up on your 1-yard line. You go shotgun out of the end zone. There's no conservativeness. There's not like, hey, we're just going to run the clock, let them use their timeouts. We're not going to give them the ball with a lot of time left. And they go down. It was just an freaking believable drive. And as you turns out, Kansas City still gets 3 before the intermission. But I thought that drive by the Buffalo Bills was almost as good as anything I've seen.
Maybe the difference, end up, difference in the game, but also a message sent to, you're exactly right, Grant. How many teams do you know would have sat there and said, let's just get out of here. Let's get out of here and move on. Yeah, exactly. Think about the confidence that Ken Dorsey, the coordinator, has in that quarterback. And then you watch these two freaks continue to do, meaning Mahomes and Allen, what they do. And, later in the game, with Allen, scissoring the tackler, that's 6'4", 6'5", 235 pounds of athlete. But these guys are quarterbacks, and they both continue to get better. And I thought that the defense for Buffalo came up with some huge stops, and that interception late in the game fooled Patrick Mahomes, and Von Miller continues to be a cut above guys that they're not supposed to be able to do what he's doing on a regular basis. And he's going to win another Super Bowl ring if this keeps up, Grant. Now, no Philadelphia may have something to say about it, but he's going to go grab another one because Buffalo's really friggin' good. I'm with you. I don't know a lot of guys who have the balls to do what Ken Dorsey and that Buffalo team did, but I think Sean McDermott says, why not? Best player in the world right now, quite often. He is. Let's put the ball in his hand. Let's go see what we got. And ended up being the difference in the football game.
Here's the one thing that would concern me if I'm the Bills fan. I want to get your take on this. You are who you are, and you have to play the style of football. It's a very spontaneous game. I think there are too many times where Josh Allen tries to get an extra yard where he doesn't have to and takes quite a hit. And I that would make me nervous if I'm the Bills. I understand if it's 4th down. I understand if it's 3rd down. But there are too many 1st and 2nd down runs where he'll try to take on a DB to get an extra yard instead of just stepping out of bounds. I know what his mindset is, but Sean, I just worry if I'm the Bills fan. That's the one guy you cannot lose. I just wonder how many times he can get away with that.
They're not winning a Super Bowl if he's not on the field. I can tell you that. And we know that, and that's the case for a handful of teams. Listen, Grant, I think we're beyond the point of Josh Allen having to prove to us or his teammates how tough he is.
Yeah,
he's no good. He's no good to me. Now I know he's a big body and all that, but big bodies get hit a lot. The punishment takes its toll as well. In the first quarter, second quarter, it's 1st down and 10. Mm-hmm. The score's tied at 7-7. You're around midfield and you slide and you go and you got an 8-yard gain or take on 3 linebackers and a safety to get an extra yard. I love your sending a message. Get down. We got 3 downs to get 2 yards. Play it smart. Now, 3rd and 9 in the 4th quarter, and you need 10 or you need 9, and you're getting greeted at 7. You got to run through them. There's a difference, but a little more selective because he's so good and so tough. He's no good to me with his shoulder in a sling or with on crutches. I don't want him to take that hit. You're exactly right. He's going to take enough of him how it is. He's proved how tough he is. I got to have the best weapon in the league on my team and on the field for 70 plays a game. And the Buffalo Bills, they haven't had a chance like this since Jim Kelly was the quarterback. That's how good they are.
All right, 49ers, they lose. They have half their team on the injured list. It seems like defensively they weren't able to line up yesterday. This question, what's up, Grant and Sean? What's your thoughts on Marcus Mariota? He had 144 quarterback rating against the Niners, blah, blah, blah. Your thoughts on what you saw from Marcus Mariota and how he's playing right now? I tell you, the Falcons to me are one of the top stories in the NFL. They should have beat shouldn't say they should have. They got screwed last week on a horrible call. They could very easily be the top team in that division.
Grant, what tells you they can't win the division right now? The way Tampa's playing. Yeah, exactly. And a month ago, we'd have laughed if you said that, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do quarterback production. I loved Arthur Smith as a play caller in Tennessee, and now it's starting to pay off. And remember now, they're going to get, the Alabama receiver. Why am I losing my mind? Who's suspended for gambling? Grant, off the top of my head.
Ridley.
Yeah, Ridley. Next year, they're going to get him back more than likely. They've got Pitts. We obviously know about Drake London. And they're running it. And Mariota gives you a dual threat. You know what it is? Arthur Smith knew what he had at Tennessee. And when Mariota left, and then he saw him on the free agent market to give somebody who's a veteran who needed another shot. Think about the irony of this. Mariota got replaced by Tannehill while Arthur Smith was the coordinator because Tannehill, it dried up a little bit in Miami, wanted to move on, was a backup, got a shot, took the job over. Mariota comes in. They trade Matt Ryan. The job's open for him. And we may very well be seeing a resurgence of Mariota. I love the guts he's playing with. He's given Atlanta an unbelievable shot of Red Bull. And Arthur Smith has given him a lot of different variations and multiple sets and plays to go with. I love the way they're playing, and you're exactly right. If there's 5 stories in the league this year, Atlanta damn well better be one of them. I'm proud of him. He's a great kid, and this is a good watch.
I'm not taking anything away from the New York Jets because they have had a complete turnaround on their season and they are ascending. But the Packers look lost to me. They don't look like they have the energy and the spunk needed to go out and compete on Sundays in the NFL. There is something going on within that organization that just to me is a red flag. This is a team that doesn't look like they have any spirit or anything. They look lost right now.
I shouldn't even have to preface this or qualify this with the fact, yes, they have Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're any threat 6 weeks into the season from what I've seen.
Nothing.
I don't think they're any threat to bother anybody in January. They don't scare me one bit. Honest to God, they don't. Listen, here's what it is in football. It is the Eagles. It is the Bills. It is the Chiefs. And then there's a huge gap. And then you get the Chargers and the Vikings. There's about 4 or 5 teams there. And then there's another gap for the next, and the Cowboys fit in there. We'll see when Dak comes back. It's 3 teams in the rest right now. And the Packers ain't one of them in the second level. The Packers aren't even the second tier team.
No.
The Packers are you better get it together or you won't be playing in the playoffs. They're kind of a yawner. They're no fun to watch. They bore you on offense. I love Rodgers, but there's more than a little bit missing from that, Grant. You know that. And if this team has relied on Aaron so much, and now him relying on other players, this team has got a long way to go before they're any threat. Just like Tampa, the way they're playing right now, their offense is a little bit better, but the way both those teams are playing from the preseason to now, they're going to be lucky if they can survive to January if they keep it up.
All right, Cody says, how about those Giants? 5-1. How do you like that? I like it a lot. And again, Sean and I talked about this last week. Coaching is such a paramount in the National Football League. Again, the Giants are out there not playing with a hell of a lot of talent, but they compete their asses off and they believe. They don't ever believe they're out of a game. I love what they're doing defensively, offensively, but it starts with the coaching staff. You can see the turnaround. It's unbelievable. I mean, I think that both the Jets and the Giants are combined 9-3. Think about that, Sean. Think about that. Both these teams we thought might be lucky to win 6 games this year, and they're really the talk of the NFL right now.
They sure are. And you know what sticks out to me, and it is tangible, even though is that Grant. I think they think they're going to win every week. Speaking of the Giants, the Jets are starting to feel that way. The fire that Brian Dable has brought to the team.
Oh boy.
And anybody that's it's always about the players. Well, of course it's about the players, but sometimes a guy can take a 6 and make him an 8, and Brian Dable's done that at a handful of positions.
Sure has.
This team, in truth, with it just trying to get into the rhythm, they have no business going into this season us saying that they're 5-1. Nobody would have bet that. If you would, you'd be a rich man. But I can tell you this, you can make quantum leaps quickly if you're coached and taught well, and there's a believability and a buy-in, and the fucking Giants got it right now, and it is really, really good to watch. Grant, think about it now. 5-1, right? We got how many games left? 11.
Yep.
Okay, so they got to win. They got to go 5.
They got to go 5-6. Yeah.
And they're in the playoffs. That's exactly right.
And they have Washington twice, and they've got a couple of other teams. So we'll see.
Oh, they're going to beat good teams too. They're going to beat a good team or two along the way.
They already have.
Still. Yep,
they already have.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Damn right they have.
All right. I mean, listen, they won week 1 at Tennessee. I mean, think about this. They beat both number 1 seeds on the road from last year. Now, I know in the NFL, you got to be careful about going back to last year because things change in a hurry. Speaking of changing in a hurry, I made myself watch a lot of that Rams game yesterday. They look awful. That was not an impressive win. I mean, Carolina had the ball on the last drive. They turned it over. It should have only been a 7-point win for the Rams. They had to play from behind for a lot of the game. This is a team that I watched win the Super Bowl last year, and they look putrid. I know they won the game, Sean, and a win's a win, but they don't look very good.
No, well, listen, this sounds so disrespectful, but what's impressive about beating Carolina right now? They got coaches kicking players off the field, player arguing with coaches. They've got nothing offensively. Listen, you turn the ball over and you still win. That was the safest bet, and that was the safest bet in the league this week. And that's for a team that's playing like horseshit physically with the Rams. And at -10, it was still the safest bet at home this week. Thank goodness they didn't give up a backdoor touchdown at 24-10. They just don't look the part. You can throw them in. You're exactly right, Grant. With the Green Bays and the Tampa Bays, the only thing that's different from them is that from last year is that they're the ones wearing the ring from last year. But all 3 of those teams, do they look like a threat to dominate the NFC at any point in time this year?
No.
At all. And they're not physical, meaning the Rams, we say it every week, and I haven't seen it change. And now there's Cam Akers problems, and he's talking about trading him. And remember, you keep an eye somewhere out there Christian McCaffrey, whether it's Buffalo, somebody that's in the hunt is going to jump on McCaffrey and trade for him and be willing to give up multiple draft picks. And maybe it's a team like Buffalo. Maybe it's a Rams team that needs to get more physical there. But the Rams are just another team right now, which is a bummer to say, but it's true.
I look at the NFC and Philadelphia again. We saw, they jump out on front 17-0 last night, over the Cowboys, and the Cowboys did well just to try to even get back in the game. But to me, the Eagles are just ahead. It's not a whisker. They're significantly better. Now, I will say this about Dallas with Dak Prescott coming back. Maybe he gives them what they need to elevate a little bit more, because you know what, Sean, say what you want. I didn't think it was that good of a game defensively for the Cowboys. Parsons was pretty much kept in check, and that's saying something. But when you can get to the quarterback and you can affect the game defensively the way Dallas can, I have to include them in that group. I wouldn't pick them to be able to beat Buffalo. I wouldn't pick them to beat Kansas City. But my point is, Sean, defensively, they have the ability to turn a game around.
And they're in that second tier that we talked about.
Yes.
They are. And they're going to be upgraded. Cooper Rush did a great job for 5 weeks, didn't play well. Hey, and he's in the position. He did the one game, what he hasn't done the other 4, turned the ball over, gave it to the other team, was not accurate with throws, and it cost the Cowboys. You can't do that against the best team in the NFL right now. And what's most impressive, when Prescott comes back, Kellen Moore is going to feel more comfortable about stretching this offense vertically and horizontally, and they're going to be better offensively. But what's the most impressive thing going to the other side? And Dallas is going to hang around. They're a playoff team, Grant. I firmly believe that. But what's going to the most impressive of all the stuff, I know Hurts, I know the weapons on offense. I really like the way the Philadelphia defense is playing. I do. I think they're really good in the secondary. They are getting after it. They are physical. They can run. When all is said and done, we talk about the offense and Hurts' improvement and all those weapons. I'll be damned if they're going to win the division and be the number 1 seed in the NFC. When we come out of it, we're going to be saying the defense is a big reason why.
Sean, the New England Patriots and a quarterback that I bet you 99% of NFL fans had never heard of when the season began. What a freaking story going up there in Foxborough.
He's a Belichick guy, this Bailey Zappi kid. Now listen, Grant, when this summer came around, I had a guy send me a message, and I'd watched him a couple times because he was at like a guy you thought, okay, he's a 4th or 5th round guy, put up huge numbers. And I kept hearing people talk about, so I watched a couple games of his, talk about his toughness and that he can throw it. He put up Grant, didn't he throw for like 6,000 yards or something? He put up a bunch of yards.
That was unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, numbers. So the numbers are one thing, but I wanted to see how he handled it and his football IQ and the rest of it. And so before camp started, somebody said, you got to keep an eye on this kid, Sean. I said, well, I've seen him. I'm anxious. Well, I'll be damned. He's gone to the right coach. And I got news. While Mac Jones is a first rounder, when he comes back, I'm sure it's going to be his gig. But what Bailey Zappi's doing is adding to his resume, because I know he can throw it. Yeah. And that first game, they protected it. But now you're getting to a point, and you know Belichick, listen, as good as Mac Jones has been at times, if he thinks Bailey Zappi gives him a better chance to win, they'll stick Mac Jones on the trading block. I'm just telling you. And I hold Mac Jones. He's a great processor of information. But this Bailey Zappi kid is mentally tough as well. He didn't go to a big program, obviously, but he can rip it. And I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but he reminds me of a Belichick type of guy. Plays, takes care of his business, and when he came out of school, people loved the numbers, but people loved the attitude and his story better. Keep an eye on that situation there and where that goes. That situation at quarterback is not settled just yet, which happened in a hurry. That's for damn sure.
Well, it could be worse. You could be a Dodgers fan this week. Holy shit, Sean, seriously. I'm so done with the Dodgers, and don't talk to me about 2020 and a 60-game campaign with nobody in the stands and, all of that bullshit. I know that they celebrated, they got their rings, but I'm sorry. I put a Major League asterisk next to this. This is a franchise that's got the best payroll year in, year out. They have every single thing at their disposal in a huge market. Places sold out every night. You win 111 games, and you can't even make it to the NLCS. Same thing last year. They couldn't get over the hump and make it back to the World Series. So they have not forget about 2020. So once again, you got to go back to 1988, the last time to me they won a legitimate World Series with Oral Hershiser and Kirk Gibson and Steve Sachs and Mickey Hatcher. What a freaking embarrassment. Seriously, what an embarrassment.
And the truth is, Grant, when we going to say 111 wins and it's a failed season? Think about that, where it's like not a disappointment, but a failed season when you payroll and expectations and then being eliminated by And while it doesn't make me feel bad, Grant, because my preseason picks in March when we go through them on our shows, I had the Padres playing Toronto in the World Series. Now, I miss the American League, so I'm keeping the Padres. And that's my hometown, so hell yes. Even though I got buddies from the Dodgers, as you know, our guy Mike.
I know.
We used to go to Mike Lamb Dodger games all the time, but there's still that twin. That's the only sports franchise we got friggin' left in San Diego. So Petco, go do it. And I will tell you this: if the Padres and the Astros both get to the World Series, my ass is going to be commuting back and forth for every friggin' one of those games.
I love it.
And I'm going to be enjoying Petco and enjoying. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you're right. The Dodgers, what a not just disappointment, what a failure of a season. And I don't want to hear anybody whining and bitching about this cheating and that cheating. You won 111 games, and your bitch ass is sitting at home now. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I'm talking about that small group of people that wants to make excuses, right? Well, guess what? Enjoy TV. Do what the rest of us are doing. Grab yourself a beer and watch it on TV like we're doing, too. Sorry.
All right.
Happens.
And now you got a Game 5 coming up at Yankee Stadium. You and I have gone back and forth. Sean, you know I'm a diehard Yankees fan, but I'm down on them even when they had the best record in baseball in June because I don't like how their roster, to me, their roster is not built for succeeding in the postseason. And if they win tonight, I'm telling you, Sean, they'll be lucky if they win more than one game against the Houston Astros. And speaking of the team that you work for on the flagship station, and we both love Dusty, if you're Dusty Baker right now, and I'm not disrespecting Philadelphia, I'm not disrespecting the Padres, but the table is set for you without the Dodgers, okay? To me, the Astros currently today, and again, no disrespect to the other teams that have made it, the Astros are the team to beat right now, Sean. They had the best pitching staff. They had the best lineup. They had the best team. It's right there now for Dusty Baker. He needs 8 more wins.
Grant, they should, and I guess overwhelming is probably a little hyperbolic, but they should be the clear-cut favorite to be the World Series champions.
Absolutely.
And for all the flack Dusty takes in his past about pitching staffs, he was perfect. I'm telling you, Grant, every move he made in the Seattle series was perfection with the pitching staff. Now, they didn't hit. What a great kudos to Seattle and the Astros pitching staffs in the 18-inning game. They were outstanding. I mean, one pitch you miss, guy hits it out of the ballpark. Other than that, congratulations. I think Dusty has been a master's degree, a doctorate in managing in the first round playoff series here in the divisional round. And you're right. Now, we know Tito Francona is a magician, Grant. Tito's really good at this. And I, as an Astros, here at the Astros, I'm thinking, do I want to deal with the big boppers because one swing of the bat or the pesky, I know it's an overused word, that never go away and can be dominant pitching staff with the Cleveland Guardians. And with that short porch in right field, you probably say, well, the Yankees can hit 4 home runs on pop flies. But I'm anxious to see how this turns out. But either way, I know the Astros are not afraid of the matchup. Either way, and they're not afraid of the Yankees at all.
Hell no.
I don't think they're too concerned with concerned, yes, because the Padres got players, and so does Philadelphia. But they should be the favorite. You got to play them all. But Dusty's never had a more direct path now that the high payroll is out of the way, even though the Padres are high payroll. This is an unbelievable opportunity for the best team he's had since he's been here, and there'll be no excuse as long as they stay healthy. The Astros, and remember, with the Dodgers gone, they are the home team now throughout the playoffs.
All right, so I want to ask you about this, the layoff. When we look at what happened in this round, the teams that had the buys are all gone, with the exception of the Yankees playing right now. This is a lot of time off now for a hot team. They went through Seattle with ease. Any concern in that regard?
No, because that 18-inning game, Grant, taxed them a little bit. I think they needed a little time. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And with the first question, when they had the initial being the team that didn't have to play in the wild card round like the Yankees, and then they jumped at it, the thought was, well, how are they going to be? Well, Seattle jumped out in front of them, but they battled. This is a resilient team. Grant, their DNA has postseason written all over it. They love this. 6 times in a row now they've been to the ALCS. This is not foreign to them. They know how to manage their time and lead. I'm not worried about it because I actually think after 18 innings they needed to fly back home, take some time off. And remember, we get back at it as quick as Wednesday. The key are these other 2 teams, if they have to tax themselves tonight or if there's rain and there's a delay, think about the lack of rest or what they're going to have to do to refocus. You're going to have to be awfully damn good to roll into Minute Maid Park on Wednesday and win a game. And Justin Verlander will start. And remember his last start, he wasn't very sharp. I don't see him go two in a row where he's not sharp. This is going to be interesting to see how these other two teams deal.
And if the Yankees lose tonight, I'm going to put them in the same category as the Dodgers right now. They don't have to go all the way back to 1988, but the point is that payroll, I'm not a fan of what Brian Cashman has done over a long stretch here. I'm not a fan of the way he has put this team together. We'll see. All right, football tonight. Any way the Chargers don't win this game?
Well, judging from what I've seen from the Denver Broncos offense, Tennessee'd have a better chance throwing the ball around on the Chargers. I got the Chargers unless Russell Wilson decides to go back and play like he did a few years ago. I think the Chargers are a better team, but keep an eye on the head coaches.
Yeah.
Which one of them is going to fuck up a 4th-and-1 call and try to kick or punt? Because I'll tell you what, AFC West has guys that love to do something like this all the time. So is it Nathaniel Hackett or is it Staley? Which one of you guys is going to give your team the best chance to win and not screw it up? There you go.
Actually, when I watch the NFL now, I can't believe how many teams go forward on 4th and 2, 4th and 3 on their side of the field. It's almost like a new trend. We always talk about analytics, but more coaches are starting to do this. And I'm like, well, what the hell? It's unbelievable to me.
What are we going to do like that small college coach a couple years past that they never went for – they never punted. They never went for extra points. Always went onside kick like 12 times a game. So is that what's next? I know one damn thing. We better learn how to get quarterbacks taking hits better in this league. Not the quarterbacks themselves, but the rules set up for it as we move forward. Because we are playing Big 12 football a lot of times when it comes to college to NFL Sundays. That's for sure, and Mondays.
And shit, we got the NBA starting tomorrow. If you don't have enough on your plate, add in some basketball.
Yeah, and let's not forget hockey's underway too. This is the time, brother. I do too. Can't wait. Hey, Chargers tonight, but inside a touchdown, but win it, maybe a backdoor cover or whatever by the Broncos. I got the Chargers.
I'll talk to you Friday, buddy. You have a great week.
You too, brother. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. That's Sean Salisbury. Great stuff right there, as always. And I do want to tell you that we are coming to you courtesy of New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. Locally owned for over 20 years, New Works has a fix for you. Just go to sacserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. And if you happen to have an emergency in the middle of the night, no problem. They'll be there with their 24/7 service. That's sacserviceplumbing.com. All right, we bring in Rhino in Sacktown. Rhino, how the hell are you, buddy? I hope you had a good weekend.
Oh, busy weekend. Thank you, Grant. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Good stuff there with Sean. And I know that it's football season. It's the NBA. We got hockey going on. But I did a rant on this morning. Seriously, if you're a Dodgers fan, holy shit, how bad is this? I mean, you win 111 games. You got absolutely nothing to show for it. What an embarrassment.
Grant, that's how the postseason goes. You are an embarrassment for sure because you get the fans' expectations up. 111 games. That's a lot of wins in baseball. And then they hit their stride too early. That's the problem. And you look at some of these teams right now, minus the Astros and the Yankees. Look at the Commanders. They're getting hot at the right time. And you always talk about analytics. And honestly, the way that the Commanders play versus the way the Yankees play, that is postseason baseball, not the way Yankees play.
Yeah. By the way, nice glasses, man. See, I can do that too,
buddy.
just so you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right, I had to wear my SDSU shirt for Sean too. I had no idea. So.
Speaking of basketball, the NBA gets underway tomorrow. The Kings get underway on Wednesday, and there's a lot of excitement in Sacktown. They think that this roster is much improved. The West is just absolutely stacked. So, isn't it amazing that we got the NBA starting this week, buddy?
This is kind of the best season of the year, right, for sports? You really can't beat it. It's amazing. The NBA is already back. Sacramento, again, we've talked about this. They are completely over the top in terms of excitement. And in fact, Grant, we already won the championship, right?
Yes, it's already there. They had the parade scheduled already.
Perfect. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait for the game on Wednesday against Portland, and that's going to be the true test, right? I mean, it's a long season, but to see how they come out, that's literally going to be the big thing.
All right, here we go from Haunted House.
Right.
Kurt Rambis Goggles has nothing on both of your glasses game. I agree with you, man. Absolutely. I got to have the band that goes around like Rambis. I got to have that band that goes around the if you're going to do it, you have to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Can you imagine playing lacrosse with glasses on under that helmet? Would you be able to do it? No.
It would be challenging, that's for sure. Somebody says they hope that Keegan Murray can play opening night because he's in the protocol, right? So we'll see what's
Right.
going on with that. All right. So we're going to talk a lot about this with Jerry Reynolds on Wednesday before game one. What do you think the win total is going to be this year for the Kings? What do you think the number is going to be?
I think between 35 and 40. I don't see them with the West as tough as it is. And it's either to me going to be 35 or 40, or they're going to blow us away and
Yep.
actually have the season that everybody has been dreaming of for the last 16 years and win, I would say tops 46, 47.
Wow, you're way off there. 40, no way. But that's why they play the games. I never thought the Giants would win 5 games in the whole year, and they're 5-1. Jeff thinks that your hair is growing faster than mine. I'm also 30 years older than you, so my hair probably doesn't grow as fast as yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually got a little heat. I'm supposed to go get a haircut and make it shorter again. I already told you that.
Wow.
Yeah,
How about
so
that?
We'll see. How about
Wow.
that?
Wow.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Tom Brady, what is your take on that with him going to Bob Kraft's wedding on a Friday night on a game week?
I think it's awful. I know it's Tom Brady, but you're either with the team or you're not with the team. You're either the man or you're not. And from a leadership, I should have asked Sean about that, and I neglected to do so. I know he's Tom Brady. I get the fact he's been in 10 Super Bowls and he's got rings all over the place, but I wasn't a fan of that. I actually, when the news broke, I was like, wait a minute, they have a bye this week? I really did. I was like, wow, do the Bucks have a bye this week? I was shocked by that. I really was. I was shocked.
Well, it's a bad precedent set too. Whether you've won, what is it, 7 Super Bowls now?
Yeah,
6 or
yeah.
7 Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's
It's terrible. And he's having a hard time. There's no doubt about that with the reports of the stuff going on off the field, but especially another owner's wedding, that it's just not a good look, Tom.
No.
Not a good look.
All right, Brian chimes in. He's got the Kings winning 37. So what we'll do on Wednesday, we'll have an extended Kings chat because Jerry Reynolds is going to be on with me on Wednesday, same time, 3 o'clock Pacific. So I'll tell you what we'll do. It's going to be fun because we'll be talking a lot about the Kings. We'll be forecasting. We'll be going over their schedule. We'll be going over rotations. We'll talk about NBA as well. And we'll get fans' predictions coming up on Wednesday. I have a feeling most are going to be in the 30s. I think over 40. It's not often that a team makes a plus 10 game improvement unless you draft Tim Duncan or someone like that in the lottery or LeBron. So we'll see. We'll leave it up to the fans though, Ryan. But most people are going to stay in the 30s.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm saying I don't think if they really click with the expectations that you look at the roster, our best 7 players, if they really click, I'm saying that is the ceiling. I'm not saying 47. It's going to be probably between 35 and 40. But
Okay.
30 or 47 could be there. Hey, I want to ask you one question before we get off. How do you think the Yankees situation this morning is going to affect the game tonight, or will it even affect the game?
I don't think it's going to affect the game. I think once the game starts, the game starts. It's 9 innings for a chance to go on to the championship series. Do you think it's going to affect the game?
Only because, baseball, I don't think it will, but it's the Yankees always fly out after the game as long as it's not too late. So it kind of kicks you out of that routine that you have.
Yeah.
So it could, probably not, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
My take, I've been on a lot of team charters where you have unexpected delays, cancellations. I remember once at the end of a long road trip, we were in Atlanta and going to Salt Lake City, and but we didn't even end up taking off until 5 a.m. We walked into the hotel at like 8 a.m. and played that night and won. There were many. I remember flying to Denver once, and Denver had a blizzard, and they were thinking of postponing the game, and the snow had stopped enough for us to get there. And we landed in Colorado Springs at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. And literally, and this is when Allen Iverson was on the Nuggets, we literally pulled up to the arena like 40 minutes, 30 minutes before the game. And the guys ran in and got their stuff on and played, and we won that game. So, I think it's just your mindset. If you're ready to play, you're ready to play. It's not ideal, but, you deal with it. You deal with it. I mean, again, think about what's at stake here. You play the whole year, and it comes down to 9 innings for a chance to get that much closer to the World Series. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Okay, good. And it's funny that you say that, because usually the first bus leaves at like 5, or the second bus leaves at 5 if you're playing a 7 o'clock game in the NBA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Generally, like 4:45 and 5:15 for a 7 o'clock game, depending on how far the arena is from the hotel. But that's about right. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting, and I mean, it comes down to one game. I mean, that's gonna be fun to watch, and hopefully it's a good game. I'm gonna go hot take on you. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a Commanders Padres World Series.
Okay. I will say there's no way in the world, and I'm saying that as a Giants fan who are 5-1, that the Houston Astros don't win the American League Championship Series, regardless of who they play. By the way, you have so many fans out there. I mean, look at 12 Wood. Ryan is a sexy beast, and then and then you got Haunted Horse checking in, and look at him. Right 12 Wood, Man Candy. I mean, look at you with all the stuff.
I don't know what to say. Not my fault. Thank my parents.
All right. Here's a prediction. Yeah. Here's a prediction. Cleveland will win 3-1, and Boone and Cashman fired. Judge will leave to San Francisco. Well, I'm going to go on record right now and saying that if the Yankees, and I've said this before, but to back you up, if the Yankees do not beat Cleveland tonight, you're right. Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone will both be fired. Boone 100%. For whatever reason, the Yankee brass, they love Brian Cashman, but I'm with you. Both will be gone. And I will also make this prediction. And I couldn't believe this in game 2. Okay? Do you know that the Yankee fans booed Aaron Judge after he struck out a couple of times? Can you imagine that? This is a guy that hit 62 home runs, that gave you a reason to go to the ballpark this year, and the Yankee fans booed him. How about that?
It's completely bipolar. I mean, it makes no sense. There was people paying like $1,200 for a seat in the outfield to try to catch a ball on this run, and he's given them everything, like you said, this season, a lot of excitement, and now you're booing him for a strikeout. It's just, Grant, the tension goes up in the postseason, right?
Of course.
The expectations are through the roof. When they've had the season they've had, Judge had the historic run that he had, because I personally consider him to be the home run leader for the AL. That's out of question, probably for the entire league. But yeah, it's garbage. And, there's certain fan bases, Grant. I mean, how much did you run into that going to games? I mean,
happens all the time. And, being in New York, and, listen, he does have the American League home run record. No one's ever hit 62 in the American League. So no matter what people think about the overall record, he has the record in the American League. And obviously Bonds has it overall. But I'm very skeptical about giving a player a 10-year deal for that kind of money. Like, I think it's bad. I think it's a bad business decision. I'm not a fan of that. However, in this case, if I'm the Yankees and I look at the way the ball club is constructed, if you lose Aaron Judge, okay, he's the next Derek Jeter, basically. He has everything you want in a Yankee, and I hate the stereotype, but he has all the characteristics that the Yankees want, in addition to being a tremendous player. If you lose Aaron Judge, what's that going to do to your attendance? I know it's New York. I know it's the Yankees. But I also know a lot of Yankee fans will screw it. I'm not going to the games this year. So this is going to be a very interesting decision, because I do believe the Giants are going to go after Aaron Judge big time. And Judge is a Northern California guy.
Yep.
He has had an affinity for the Giants. I could see it happening.
Yeah, if the Yankees lose Judge, and the one thing you have to remember too, and you know this better than anybody, Grant, is New York is a destination spot for visiting fans that want to come vacation, watch games. So you're going to have, your attendance will be stable. It's not going to be the Oakland A's, right? But if they lose Judge, and then you lose Cashman, or they fire Cashman, you fire Aaron Boone, you're kind of in a rebuild at that point, right? And so they've got to. I'm not a fan of the big contracts either. I'm happy for these guys for getting their money.
Yep.
But that's a long time. Look at Albert Pujols. But that's going to be the point that I kick back to you, because nobody thought Pujols would do what he did this year.
Correct. Yep. Well, listen, man, it's going to be a lot of fun this week with the NBA starting up tomorrow. The Kings on Wednesday. Jerry will be right here on Wednesday. And then, of course, after I get chatting with Jerry, we'll talk to you as well. So we'll talk to you soon, buddy. Good segment today.
Can you get Jerry to get some Rambus glasses for Wednesday?
I think he's got some, actually.
Okay.
I think he's got some.
Perfect.
You know?
All right.
Yeah.
It's going to be
I don't know if you like these. I don't know if I have another. But let me see how. I think I have another.
Gosh,
Oh,
Grant.
wait a minute here. You know what? Because these are $1. These were $1.25 that I walked in and got it. So I got these. Let me see. Let me see here. They're pretty much the same. The frames are a little bit different.
All right.
Frames are a little bit different. Absolutely. So
I see you. Hey,
that's it. No more. $1.25.
$1. Can't beat it. Have a great day, okay?
All right, you too, buddy. Thanks very much. And let me tell everyone what's coming up on Wednesday. Jerry Reynolds will be with me beginning at 3 o'clock Pacific. Sean Salisbury will do it again on Friday. And if you have not checked out right here on Listen App, all right, you can go right from here to Listen App. Download it on your phone or go to listenapp.co, C-O, not .com, listenapp.co, or you can just download it on your phone. I'll be doing a live show beginning at 4 o'clock in about, 15 minutes from now, Pacific time. All right. Hey, thanks very much. Really appreciate you joining us. Good show today. We covered everything, and we'll really cover everything on Wednesday with the NBA season in session. All right. Make it a great day. Thanks very much for joining us right here on If You Don't Like That with Grant Napier. So long, everybody.